throw on the road as they win at Northwestern. We'll have highlights. We'll also meet a Michigan starter who started at Stanford. We'll explain. And we'll take a close look at the Big Ten standings and the logjam near the top with the Wolverines still in the mix for another title. All that and more coming up next. Michigan Replay with Lloyd Carr is brought to you in part by Pepsi. It's the Cola. By Chevrolet. Chevy drives the Motor City. See your Detroit area Chevy dealers today or log on to DetroitAreaChevyDealers.com. By LaSalle Bank. Proud to support the University of Michigan football program. LaSalle Bank, making more possible. And by Big Boy Restaurants. Big Boy makes you say, oh boy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Michigan Replay. Well, 33-17 the final. Wonder of wonders, you didn't go to overtime. You didn't have the last play of the game decide the game. Well, what's with you? I thought you were the guy that was doing TV ratings.
It's fun to have a game the other way.
It's fun to have one where from the 1 minute and 50-second mark you can kind of say, okay, we got this one figured out.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Jim. Going into that game, if you had asked me, I'd have told you it had a good chance to go to overtime because Northwestern can score points.
You would have never, and I asked you this after the game, expected a shutout from your defense at Northwestern in the second half, would you?
No, and the truth is, with the exception of 3 plays that were big plays, our defense was magnificent.
It really was, because you look at Northwestern on tape, they can score anywhere with anybody against anyone.
Well, they're one of the leading in the nation in scoring points, 38 points, over 500 yards total offense a game. And the biggest thing, Jim, we had to do defensively, as we talked during the week in practice, set our game plan, was to stop the run, do a great job, make them a one-dimensional football team.
You did that, and the most other important thing is you controlled the ball. And I thought it was also very important you got off to a fast start. In your opening drive, you went down and scored.
Well, here Kevin Grady cuts the ball back. The play is designed to go off tackle to the left, but he saw a seam back to the right and made a good cut, a good run. And here, good protection. And Jason Avant, he finds him in the seam of the zone. Here, we used Mario Manningham with a formation where we have 3 guys out in front of him blocking. He's got to make a guy miss, and we get the ball down on the 1-yard line.
And Kevin Grady goes in for the 7-0 lead. The key there, though, is you make those 2 big third-down conversions, and that's the key to that drive.
Well, we really, that probably, looking back on the game, was the best offensive drive we had of the day, and you want to get ahead, especially on the right road.
But your defense then comes up huge.
Where our right end, Pierre Woods, forced the ball to bounce, and our cornerback, Leon Hall, not only caused the fumble, he picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown, and what a great lift that gave our team.
14-0, and people haven't really got comfortable in their seats yet, but then the big play on a broken coverage.
Well, they get decent field position, and then we get a 2-by-2 formation there and missed a check. We should have had 2 deep coverage there, and it's a mistake, and yet, you know, in a game like that, you say, well, we can't make those kind of mistakes. And here's the second of 3 plays that leads to a field goal. Grant Mason, we let the ball outside the defense. Our corner gets hooked, and then Grant Mason saves a touchdown.
On 3rd and 6, they tried to go to a screen. And boy, Prescott Burgess and Sean Crable, those guys were all over their screens.
Yes, they were, and that's always a big part of the spread offense. But our defense holds here, and we come away with holding them to 3 points after letting them get the ball in the red zone.
Makes it a 14-10 game. You still have the lead. Then you get the ball back and go to work. And a great catch here by Jason Avant. A 2nd and 7 play.
Well, in some ways, a little bit like the play a week ago, Iowa. The ball was thrown behind them. Here, Kevin Grady breaks a tackle and gets good yardage down inside the 15-yard line on a screen pass. And we've worked hard to try to get our screens going, and that was probably the best one of the day.
And you stall inside the 10, but Rivas kicks a field goal from 26 yards, puts you up again 2 scores, or it gets you up to 17-10.
Here again on a third down play, second and long, David Harris makes a good play to put him in the third down situation. We get the ball back.
Great protection, too, for Chad.
Yeah, and here Chad does a great job checking the ball down. And I thought Tyler Acker in this game got his pads down. Here's great protection. He steps up and hits Jason Avon. But I think our tight ends, we're getting them a little bit more involved in the offense here.
And here Mike Massey, the youngster, gets his first touchdown.
Well, you know that's exciting, Jim. You remember your first touchdown?
No, I never scored, Lloyd.
They didn't give you the ball?
They never gave me the ball. Are you kidding me?
They didn't know what they were doing. If I coached you, Jim, I'd give you the ball. Here's a great...
you wouldn't have had your job long.
But here's a great play, and Grant Mason is having one heck of a year. I mean, in a lot of different ways. Special teams, he's a leader. He's really doing a good job. And here that bubble screen, Steve Breston is that's a pretty good play for him.
Yeah, and that gets to the field goal again. You're up 27-10, less than a minute to play, and I thought you were going to go off, but boy, Northwestern can strike in a hurry.
Well, you know, here he scrambled around. We kept him inside, make him step up. But we've got control of this game, and then we make a mistake. And Grant gets beat there for the touchdown with 19 seconds to go. You've got to keep the ball inside and make them settle for a field goal. And we let them back in the game. That was, but if you look back at that half, there's 3 plays there. And with the exception of those 3 plays, we played great.
It's 27-17 at half. Did you feel like momentum had maybe gotten away?
Well, I was mad because we made 3 mistakes there that normally we don't make. And at this stage in the season, you don't want to make them. I just said, hey, look, we've played great football with the exception of 3 plays, but they're back in the ball game. Now we got to go out, treat this game like it's 0-0.
Well, and the Wolverines did, and they got the victory. We'll be back to take a look at the highlights of the second half. But first, we hear from Mike Massey, says this was a team victory.
When we needed to, you know, the defense stepped up, and when the offense needed to drive the ball and get long drives, take down the clock, we did. And it goes back to practice. We had two of our best practice on Tuesday and Thursday, and you know, it just shows on the field.
I promised.
I promise.
Our front, it did a terrific job. It made it a lot easier on the linebackers and the DBs and stuff like that, because our front four, that's all we really needed most of the game was the front four up there, because they did a great job against Bazinet, containing them and stuff like that, so it made it a lot easier on the rest of the squad.
Wolverines had a lead at halftime against Northwestern, but again, you were mad because 3 plays and they got back into the ball game. And this half, I thought, was the best half of defense against the spread offense that maybe I've ever seen Michigan play.
Well, I think it is, Jim, and against a very prolific offense, this play here really was the only play in the second half.
And that was in their first possession,
they
first
hit a trap play. Yeah, and with the exception of that, I mean, we're getting good pressure. Here, Sean Crable comes up with a big play, and he's really given us a lift in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And Bazinet's tough to sack.
Bazinet is an outstanding quarterback. I mean, he's proven that through the course of his career. Here, we just make a bad throw, bad read, and they get good field position. So we put our defense, after giving us good field position, we got to give them good field position and give them the ball right back.
But again, pressure on Bazinet on a 3rd and 13. Look at this effort here.
Prescott Burgess, watch him come in here and get the ball, get the quarterback knocked out short of first down, and Northwestern punts the ball away.
And late in the 3rd quarter, I think you kind of made a decision. We're going to start pounding. We're going to start running.
Well, as the time ran down, and we just felt like we could control the ball, use some clock, and there on the pitch sweep, we do a good job. Here's the 4th down play.
Yeah, rolling the dice, Coach.
Yeah,
You're getting pretty scary on me.
Well, I think, you know, you got to be able to make a yard, and we were able to do that.
And then you move to the fourth quarter, and this is a field goal again by Rivas.
Jim,
And this gives you that 2-score lead now.
Well, you know, three of those 4 field goals are from the right hash. You take when you got a guy like Garrett Rivas, it's easy to take those things for granted, but those are not easy catches, and they're Sean Crable comes up with another good play.
Yeah, and that's against the screen. And here's a good scramble by Chad getting you a key first down.
Yeah, he's. I think every time he plays, he learns something. He gets a little bit better, and that's a very good job of not forcing the ball. Here he checks the ball down to his second read, gets the ball to Tyler for a first down, and we're continuing to use some of the clock.
You know, left here from Jerome Jackson again, the pitch sweep.
Well, that play late in the game is. We're beginning to take control, I think, up front. And Mark Beal took over for Adam Krause there at center and did a good job. Adam went out in the first quarter. And so we've got a lot of guys' experience, and one of these days we'll get everybody healthy.
Yeah. Looked like an interception by Morgan Trent, but he actually dropped the ball, was bobbling, ruled incomplete, but still the defense playing well, not giving Bazinet a lot of places to go with it.
No, they aren't. And I think it all starts up front. He's throwing the football here on the 4th down play, really, or we iced the game. Brandon Harrison, a true freshman, makes a very good play, knocks the ball away, and we got the ball. And we're trying to run the clock out here. Massaquoi, healthy, I think, for the first time in 2 months.
And that really ices it with 151 left. And I thought that was great because you'd been running it and running, and on 3rd down you decide give it a real hard run fake and then roll Chad out on a naked bootleg, and it really worked well for you.
Well, you know, one of the things I think since last year that Chad has improved on is we've got him moving some, and he's thrown some excellent passes on the run, Jim. And we've got tight ends that if you're going to get up in there with too many people to stop the run, it makes you vulnerable to the tight ends and the bootleg passes.
When you look back at this, how big was this win? I thought this was a huge game, given where the schedule is, where you've come from, on the road against a dangerous team. You got a bye week coming, and then Indiana and Ohio State to finish. I thought this was a huge game.
Well, it was, Jim. The truth is they've all been big, and of course when you stumble like we did early in the season, then every game becomes a game, an elimination game. This game, this win here against Northwestern gives us a chance to continue to play games that mean a lot.
It's just like having your back against the wall, huh?
Well, these guys, there's no quit in them, I'll tell you that. They've proven that.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's clear, that you've got to be extremely proud of their resiliency from, you know, people taking shots at them when they were 3-3, and they have risen to the occasion.
Well, I think they all appreciate the people that stood by them, and of course, you know, there's always people that are going to leave you when you're doing bad, but what I admire is the way these kids have hung together. I think we've had great leadership from our senior class, and they've been able to meet the test of getting off the mat. Now they got to keep swinging.
Getting off the deck and coming back. That's this Michigan squad. When we come back, we'll meet Grant Mason, but first we hear from Alan Branch talk about this game was all about getting physical.
We're looking at film, and these guys, they weren't really, you know, challenged physically that, like in the backfield, get pressure on Bazinet. So we came in there and decided to just try to, you know, make it rough for them.
Grant Mason is one of the most interesting stories on the Wolverine roster. He came to Michigan from Pontiac and Orchard Lake St. Mary's High School. But between high school and Michigan, he spent a couple of years at Stanford in Palo Alto, California. His decision to transfer back from Stanford wasn't easy, but it was based on sound and solid thinking.
If I moved back and football even isn't an option, where would I be happiest? And I knew that being back home around my family, that they would bring me joy. So that alone, I think, leaned me towards coming back here. So, including all the great, you know, it's great football traditionally. It's a great school.
Having spent time at Stanford and now as a contributor at Michigan, Mason is in a unique position to draw comparisons between the two. And Grant doesn't hesitate discussing the focus that exists in Ann Arbor.
The biggest difference is the expectations here are so much greater. I mean, you come here and you lose 3 games in the season, and it's not a good season. And you go there and you lose 3 games, you had a great season. So that's a big, big, big difference. In my sophomore year, we went 2-9, I believe. And I don't remember losing 9 games in football or basketball combined my whole high school career. And that was really, really tough for me, considering all the work and all the studying and things we do throughout the week.
A receiver at Stanford, Mason switched to defensive back at Michigan, and he loves it. He's playing regularly, and he's relishing the challenge every week. He loves the defensive side of the ball, and he pays no attention to the critics of the Wolverine defense.
If you listen to all the naysayers and stuff, they always talk about, Michigan defense hasn't done this and that. And that's only because the tradition here as a defensive team sets the standard is so high. I mean, Michigan's defense throughout history has been, the cornerstone of the program.
Intercepted at the 25 by Grant Mason. Comes the other way to the 15. Cuts inside at the 10. To the 5. Touchdown, Michigan. Grant Mason brought it back to the house.
This team, more than any other team I've been on, has a tremendous amount of camaraderie and just guys that are really selfless. And so we just go out every week, we work hard, and hopefully, on Saturdays we show all the work that we put in each week.
Well, clearly Grant Mason has done a great job, and I think the thing that you can talk about this defense is from game 1 to the Northwestern game this past Saturday, the improvement has been week to week and steady, and that's what a coach loves to see, right?
Well, it is, and of course, Grant Mason, I can remember when he decided to transfer, he and his dad came into my office, and of course, you never know how something's going to work out. But Grant has done one great job. The players have embraced him, and he's, I think, bought into what Michigan's all about and made a great contribution, great leader, and a tough guy, and brought some real enthusiasm and emotion to our team. And I think that's been a big part of our defensive resurgence. We've played with a lot of emotion, Jim.
And he's a good guy to have on that defense. When we come back, we'll talk about a bye week. But first, we hear from center Mark Beal talking about, against Northwestern, controlling the clock meant controlling the game.
That's one of our goals. We got to win the time of possession. You got to to win a game like that against the offense that's as powerful as them. You got to control the ball, and that's what we did today. We controlled the ball and kept it out of their hands.
Michigan football this year, there's no quitting us. We just keep fighting. All week we prided ourselves on finishing the game, and we did it.
The Wolverines come off the Northwestern victory and have a bye week, and you told me after the game, the bye week couldn't come at a better time for this team because you're nicked up with injuries.
Well, Lamar Woodley and Mike Hart both missed this game, so Adam Krause got banged up in there, and we've got a lot of other guys that can get healthy. It gives us a chance to get a little extra preparation for our last 2 games, and it gives us some chance to look at some of our young players.
Do you get to kind of settle back and maybe take a breath during the bye week, the coaches and the players a little bit to kind of recharge?
Well, I don't think the coaches, but certainly the players will have Sunday and Monday off. We'll practice regularly on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they'll lift some and have Friday and Saturday off, come back Sunday and get ready to go. So we've tried to put some time, because, Jim, it's been 9 straight weeks we've played. We played the month of October, 5 very, very physical football teams. So I think it comes at the right time. I don't think there's any question about that.
It sure does come at the right time. And you get a chance next weekend to watch a little football.
Well,
are you going to do that?
I hate doing that.
Are you going to sit in the living room and watch some football?
I love watching them, but I get
so
frustrated and disappointed because my teams never win.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You know what people out there don't realize? You are the lousiest at picking games. And we'll be sitting here watching a game. Oh, they're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to blow this. And it always works out the other way.
Yeah, I'm not a very good
The one thing you get to look at is the Big Ten teams. Let's take a look at the standings with the last month of the season, the stretch run. Here's where it is. Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State all with 1 loss. Michigan, Iowa, Northwestern with the 2 losses. But Penn State and Wisconsin are going to be getting a loss soon because they play each other next week.
Well, there's, as you see there, this race has been unbelievable. There's a lot of teams still in it. I guess we're one of the teams that only has 2 games left, but certainly Wisconsin, Penn State this week, and of course we play Ohio State. So the 3 teams, you know, there's a lot of football still to be played.
And when you look at the teams that have to play the teams, you know, that still leaves you very much in the running as a 2-loss team, because Penn State's got to go Wisconsin and Michigan State.
Well, there's 3 teams that have 2 losses, and those teams are still in it because, you know, for example, Penn State finishes with Wisconsin at home, but they have to go to Michigan State, and we all know that Michigan State can beat anybody on any
And you
given
have
day.
a shot at Ohio State. So, you know, you may need a little help, but it's still not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, we got to beat Indiana first. So we're going to take Indiana, and then we'll see.
I stand corrected, Coach Carr.
Thank you.
Make sure you join us next week, even though it's